Welcome to Nonprofit Stories, inspiring tales from Silicon Valley. We will explore the transformative work of nonprofit organizations and leaders who are changing our community by tackling some of the most pressing issues facing Silicon Valley. So without further ado, let's dive into this exciting conversation. Today, we welcome Ann Davis East, CEO of Davis East Consulting. Their mission is to deliver expert compliance, training, and strategic planning for nonprofits, ensuring they navigate tax-exempt complexities and legal responsibilities efficiently for impactful success. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. In Silicon Valley, donor-advised funds soared to $78.6 billion, highlighting a trend toward delayed philanthropy. Nonprofits face significant fraud risks, prompting adopting protective measures like positive pay. DidaStar exemplifies financial health through revenue diversification, covering 90% of its costs via service fees, suggesting a sustainable model for nonprofits. And now your host of Nonprofit Stories, D.D. Kiso.
So Ann Davis East is here, and we're going to talk about some of the things that many of you are asking me about all the time, and these are questions about having your event or your fundraising gala. So Ann, let's just jump right in.
Okay.
What is the top thing that people need to be concerned about when having a gala?
Well, it depends on what they're going to offer. If they're doing auctions, either live or silent, you need to make sure that you hand the winner a 1099 because they've won something. So that's income to them. If you're going to hold a raffle, that raffle needs to have a permit attached to it, which you receive from the Attorney General. If you're going to do raffles, I suggest that you say, every month we're going to hold a raffle. Even if you don't hold one, you just say every month that here are the dates and get a year's worth of raffle. You have to pay for it, so you might as well cover yourself for the entire year.
What about selling raffle tickets online? I'm seeing this all over the place.
In California, you cannot sell raffle tickets online. You can state that you'll be holding a raffle at the event, and raffle tickets will be available, but you cannot sell them online. Actually, I think there's a couple of other states that don't allow you to do that either. If you're giving away free tickets to donors, that's another issue that you have to look into, is if they're not paying for it, but you're asking these, what's the ruling on that? Do you have to give everybody a free raffle ticket, or does everybody have to buy a raffle ticket?
So complete transparency in your raffle rules.
Yes. Every raffle ticket has to have a number on it, and you have to keep track of the numbers that were sold and not sold. So a lot of times boards will say to board members, here are your 10 raffle tickets, and you just write a check form and you just toss the raffle tickets in the trash. You have to return them because they have to account for every raffle ticket. So that's another little piece that you need to know.
What about the value of these raffle items?
The general rule is that the organization sets the fair market value, unless it's a gift certificate. So if you get a gift certificate for $10 from a beauty salon or a hair salon, which I'm not real sure what you can buy with $10 right now, but that you can say. But if I donated to you a floral arrangement and I was saying to you, it's worth $75. You go to the florist that you use and say, hey, this is it. What do you say? And they say, oh, it's really worth $25. Then you take kind of the general, what it is.
So what about the 50-50 raffle? It's everywhere, and we know that's not okay. Can you tell us why?
Okay, 50-50 raffles in the state of California can only be done by professional sports teams. That's it. There's no gray area. So if anybody is doing it 50-50 and you get somebody disgruntled because they didn't win and they make a complaint to the Attorney General, then you have some ramifications. You could be fined. Something could be pulled, whatever. I always just, when I see one, I just shake my head. I write a little note and say, please be aware, because you don't know who your guests are. Your guests could be from the Attorney General or could be from another agency in the gaming industry, and they're a guest and they see you're doing a 50-50 raffle. Well, they can write you up for that. So it's better just not do that.
I just wouldn't ever want anyone to win my 50-50 raffle and keep the money. What a terrible deal for everybody.
Right.
Regardless, right?
Yeah. Well, people, they always say, oh, they donate it back. And I'm like...
Oh, they had income. Now you have a whole other stream of income you have to figure out with. And so, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like, just don't do that. Some will do something with playing cards that you purchase, and you I could never. I'm not a gaming person, which is the other thing to be aware of. That gaming, what constitutes gaming, and we all know bingo. It's gaming. Well, you have to have a permit for bingo. If you do casino night, then you have to use an outside company that is registered with the state that comes in with all the equipment and workers for the tables and things. So they're responsible for everything. It's not like you can just, go and rent a roulette table and bring it in. There's just all sorts. And every state agency, gaming, Attorney General, Secretary of State, unrelated business, all of these have incredible booklets, publications, webinars to give you this information.
A typical problem homeowners have when wanting to buy a new home is whether to sell first or buy first. Either way is risky. When ready to look for a new home, TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, offers an upfront guaranteed cash offer on your current home. Are you moving in the next 3 to 6 months? Text PAIR to 408-740-7400 for a free and no-obligation professional equity appraisal report, exclusively for Nonprofit Stories podcast viewers. For more information, visit TradeMyHome.com or call 408-740-7400. Remember, at TradeMyHome.com, your home is sold guaranteed or we'll buy it.
Let's just touch then on alcohol.
Okay.
So you're having a gala and you just found out that you found a place where you can have all the alcohol donated and your volunteers can serve it and you're going to make money on all of these drinks. What could possibly go wrong, Anne?
A lot. First of all, if it's you have to worry about the person and how much drinking they're doing and who's responsible for cutting them off. You don't want the tiniest person in the room to go up to the overly inebriated person and say, you can't drink anymore. You have to worry about how they're going to get home. Are you going to post Uber and taxi numbers? And the third thing is then, as of last year, August of last year, people who are not servers, so they're not bartenders, they're not food servers, they have gone through this training, cannot serve alcohol. So my volunteer who's manning the bar at the Kiwanis Crab Feed has to go through a process and be certified to pour those drinks at that bar. If you hire a caterer and the caterer brings a bartender, that's okay because they're licensed. But the volunteer, the other thing is that volunteer has to check IDs. And how are you going to denote? Are you going to check it every time that person comes up, the show? Are you going to ban them? Are you going to stamp them? Or what are you going to do? And those volunteers who are licensed certified have to stay for the entire event. So you can't do shifts. So you can say, okay, you do shift A, the first 2 hours, and then shift B comes in and does the line. That person, whoever holds it, is the only one that can pour, check IDs, and has to stay. And the process is really not that. It's all online. You can hire somebody that is certified by ABC to come in and do a group training. You can do it individually online. It's like $30. But I think you have it for like 3-5 years. So I am certified to do that. I don't like.
It's good to know, Ann.
Yeah, sometimes if your gala is going to go for 6 or 7 hours, I'm like, could I have somebody else? But again, it's not that hard. Generally, I recommend 2 people so you can share. Open bars, I think, are the worst. Some people will, you buy your drink ticket and you go. Again, you have to keep track. Some groups will set up with a winery or brewery where they receive a percentage of what is sold. Again, if you have a ticket, then system then in 2 different colors, so you know if it's wine or if it's beer, to keep track, so you can make that decision and keep track of how much the winery owes you and how much. So again, it's one of those things that you would not know unless somebody said something to you.
Great. Thank you for this super valuable information.
You're very welcome.
Here's a sneak peek of the next episode of Nonprofit Stories, featuring Matt Robin, a farm animal sanctuary director of Rancho Robin Rescues.
It really was just one of those things where kind of life seemed to want this to happen for me. We had a friend in Chicago who we were living there at the time, who tragically committed suicide.
Their mission is to provide a loving and safe forever home to farm animals in need while cultivating the reciprocal relationship between farm animals and people.
I would be, I guess, yeah, but I don't know if I'm ready for 12, so we ended up taking 3 of them. We brought them home, and they were in our small backyard in Chicago, and it all kind of started there. And if you've ever gotten into the world...
Check out our next full episode on Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube and Apple Podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast and acknowledging the impactful work of nonprofits in Silicon Valley. Please subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. Until next time, remember to support local nonprofits.